welcome to another episode of Streaming Safari here at the Lion Habitat Ranch. As usual, I'd like to start by thanking anybody who's been able to come out to visit us. And I think Monday's a holiday. Yes, Denise? Memorial Day? No, Labor Day. Labor Day. Sorry, wrong one. Labor Day. So if you don't have anything planned yet on Labor Day, can you think of something they could do, Denise? You don't know? Oh, duh. You could come and visit the Lion Habitat Ranch. We will be open on Monday, our regular hours from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, so come out and see us. And then if you've been able to make any donations to us, we really, really appreciate that. As usual, all the links are down below for Smith's, for Amazon, for our general website, and all our regular information is on there. And of course, there are some events that I'd like to let you guys know about before we get started with our experiment. And that is, we are currently nominated for 5 different categories. Do you remember?
Technically 3, but
she's saying 3, but it's somewhere around 3 to 4. The link is attached down here. For Best of Las Vegas, and that is something that you can vote for us. You can vote on there for us daily up until the 22nd of September, and that goes a long way to helping us promote the ranch and just helping us out. Just to mention again, we are a nonprofit, so we appreciate anything you guys can do for us. We have another fun thing coming up next month on the 15th and 16th. We are doing our annual Yoga with the Lions. I feel like it's more yoga with Ozzy because Ozzy definitely participates a little bit with us. So if you're interested in coming out and doing yoga with us, check out the website. All the information is on there. General admission or regular admission tickets for yoga are $40. There's a bunch of other information about cool stuff that you can do with us along with yoga. So go check that out, please, please. We would really appreciate it. And today I have a really, really quick experiment that I think is actually really fun for you guys, though. It's going to be about osmosis. I know we've talked about osmosis on Streaming Safari before, and I felt like we hadn't done something like this for a little while, so you might have seen a similar experiment. Do you have a question or comment?
Somebody wanted to talk to someone about a sulcata needing a home because we have some. The best way to do that would be to contact us through our website and send in a submission form on Contact Us.
So if you didn't hear Denise, because my mic's kind of far away, somebody was asking about possibly finding a home for a sulcata tortoise. We do have some sulcata tortoises here. If you want more information about that, the best way to do that is to go right through the website, send us an email, and we can talk to you about that. That'd be great. And so, as I was saying, we've done something similar to this before, so I just wanted to do one because it's been quite a while since we've done something regarding osmosis. And so just to remind you guys, I made you guys a little chart. We're talking about diffusion, through a selectively permeable membrane. And basically that's fancy words for meaning there's some kind of thing that's in the way that only lets certain stuff through. And all of our cells have that, all of our animal cells have that, all of your plant cells have that, and it's a way that we help to regulate how much water is in which place versus how much solute or things like salt that's dissolved in the water, how much of that is in each side of the membrane. Is it outside the cell? Is it inside the cell? So this is a super, super important chemical property. And what it tends to do is attempt to equalize the concentration of the solute on each side. And I did throw a little fancy chemistry thing in here. If you didn't know, if there's little brackets on the side of something, usually you see it around something like an element with a plus or a minus sign. That means concentration. And concentration just means how much is there. So I've drawn out my semi-permeable membrane here, and I've represented with some dots water and salt. And so there's more salt on my right side and more water on my left side. And so if this membrane is permeable to just water, the water is going to try to flow to the salt side to even out kind of how much is salt versus water is on this side. Now, if this membrane is instead permeable to other things, like other small molecules, or even if there's some little transports in here, which is something that your cells have, this salt could instead go to the other side of the membrane and even it out so that there was the equal amount of salt and water on each side. So that's what our experiment today is going to represent. And it's super easy. You just need a couple things that you most likely have hanging around your house. And I've already kind of pre-set up this experiment for us, so I'll set those guys to the side and we'll look at those in a second. I ran this experiment already for about 2 hours. I actually recommend running it for maybe even 24 hours. And you can try it with all different kinds of stuff, but I'm going to give you the basics of it. You want a couple different cups. You want, for each item you're going to use, you want 2 different cups. And you're going to fill each of those cups with water.
Is one of them your control?
One of them is not actually a control in this one, because the water by itself is actually going to do something. So that's a great question. The control for this experiment, since we're using water, and osmosis has to do with water, would actually just be like your carrot sitting by itself. Like if you just have your carrot in your refrigerator, what does it do? It's just stays a carrot for 24 hours pretty much. So that's going to be your control. But for this, you'll want your 2 cups. One of them is just going to be filled with regular water, and the other one you're going to want to add some salt to. As usual, if you want to get very particular with this experiment, or you want to do this for, say, a science fair project for school or something, measure everything out. Weigh your carrots. We're going to use some gummy bears too. Weigh those out. Weigh out how much salt you put in. Right now, I'm just going to demonstrate just putting some salt in one of these little things here. You can mix it up so it dissolves good in there and distributes throughout the water. And then you'll want different items that have different amounts of water content and maybe even different amounts of salt or something else that you might be using. You could even run this experiment with something like baking soda in water or vinegar to see what kind of different results you get and what kind of osmotic properties come out of it. So for this, I did 2 different carrots. You want to weigh them to be approximately the same size. Again, if you want this to be more precise, if you're just having fun with the science and seeing what happens, of course, you know, you can just do this for fun and not weigh anything out and just see what happens. But you can be more specific too. And you'll want to put 1 in each container. And make sure you know which one has the salt and which one doesn't have the salt. I've done the same thing up here with these. And then the other thing that I grabbed were actually some gummy bears. You want them to be the same color. I accidentally grabbed an orange and a red one, but they were pretty close in color. And then you want them to sit there. And so the different things you want to think about as this experiment is running is what's the water content in these items and what kind of membranes do you think they have to be able to allow water or even salts to come through. So as I said, I only ran this for about 2 hours, but we should be able to see some differences. So this is my salt carrot, and it's a little bit flexible. It's pretty bendy, actually. And then this one is just water. Oh, did I mix those up? Yep, I did those backwards. This one's like super, super bendy. Whoa, I just threw it. Where'd it go?
It's behind the pan.
It's behind the pan. Okay. So this one's even more flexible. And that's because the salt water has actually taken some of the water out of this carrot. So it's not as, and see, it broke apart really easily and didn't make quite a good snap. Whereas this one, it's still bendy, but it's a little bit harder. And these carrots were actually the same size. And one of them's a little bit bigger now. This one should have absorbed some water, and the crunch to it, it's a little more snappy, right? So you're going to get different effects with how the water is coming out of something or going into something depending on your setup. The same or a similar thing kind of happens with our gummy bears, and I want to compare these. This one is definitely my salt one. It was kind of falling apart. And these were both gummy bears, about the same size. That one that I have in my hand now is the salt one, and this one is the just water one. Now these guys have a permeable membrane for the water to osmosis on through there. And you can see with them next to each other, does the water one look quite a bit bigger? Yeah. So all of the water went into this guy, and this guy is just kind of dissolving. So if you leave this for about 24 hours, sometimes you'll actually get a gummy bear that's like that big. That's like at least twice as big as it started as. And that's because all of the water is going through that permeable membrane into here. There's more water in here, less water in here, so it's going to try to make that concentration more even. And again, you can try this with all kinds of different things, stuff with water in it, stuff with salt in it, and mix up what you try it with. Try it with vinegar, try it with baking soda, as I mentioned. And it's just a fun little experiment. Give that a shot, guys. And this is a pretty straightforward and really, really important chemistry concept. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll see you hopefully next week.
Vote for us.
Please vote for us on Best of Las Vegas.